Okay, opening the meeting, Conservation Commission, October 9th, 2018, 7 p.m. First up on old business is 175 Mill Street.
I went up to Mill Street and they want to put a patio and stuff in the backyard. And I don't know, anybody, this is the last house we go into Brockton. And it's all existing. And this is the diagram of what they want to do. I met with the landscaper. And if you look at it, this is the stone wall that's both on the pond right now, and they want to add that stuff. And I thought that they could help. I suggested to the landscaper that he come in and do a, what was it, Michael? Order of conditions.
No, request for
A
termination.
request for termination. Just here, that means you'll have to put it in the paper, and then they'll give us to get up and look at it. Anybody wants to go up, but I thought all the other work wouldn't be necessary. Whereas, you know, everything is pre-existing in the situation up there. So I was wondering if that'd be all right with you guys?
Anybody here from Mill Street? Say it's okay. Mike?
Make a motion to continue for the applicant to come in to do the request for determination.
I second that.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. Okay, second is request for partial certificate of compliance on number 84-486-999 Adams Street, Precast Specialties.
Good evening.
Hey, John.
My name is John Cotter, and I'm here with Brandon Duffel. He is the project manager over at Precast Specialties, and back in 2015, we had gotten an order of conditions to construct a new building, parking, drainage, and other service utilities, which were out in the front and were outside, actually outside the 100-foot buffer zone. But what's happened now is 3 years has gone by, and they have a precast retaining wall. It's actually pieces that were left on the site from another project that didn't go through. So they want to utilize it rather than destroy it. They want to utilize it. So what we have to do, because it's been 3 years, we're here to ask for a partial certificate of compliance so that he can then go back for another notice of intent and continue with the project. Reason being is you can't, DEP regulations, you can't have two orders of conditions on the same property. So we want to close this one out and then start up another notice of intent with, and I'll show you that information in about right after we go over this. But we did do an as-built survey. There was a letter that we had sent in with this, yes, with this also. And I can read it into the minutes for the record. Oh, okay. Dear Commission members, at the request of 999 Adams Street LLC, an as-built survey was performed on the property for the purpose of obtaining a partial certificate of compliance for the work completed under DEP file number SE 084-486. Although the entire project has not been completed as of this date, we are requesting the certificate in order to continue with the project and to also file a new notice for additional work within the 100-foot buffer. We have plotted and drafted an as-built plan from our survey locations and shown that the site significantly complies with the approved plan with the following exceptions. Additional drainage structures were added to the front of the parking area, although not in the 100-foot buffer, is still part of the approved plans. What ended up happening here is, when it got graded, when it got to finish grade, for whatever reason, the grading didn't match the plan, so we talked with the contractor and with the paving contractor, and we worked out a solution where we had to add a structure and show the pitch of instead of having a concave pitch to the parking lot, we went with a straight shedding, so the water sheds away from the building and into the catch basins. Along the area along the rear of the building has been left as gravel access around the building, which is out and back here, the pavement, they're ending the pavement here, and they're leaving, they want to leave that area gravel if so approved. There was a concrete storage bin area that was shown on the approved plan. They actually had gotten an amended order of conditions during the process, and they were going to grade this area out and back and put in a concrete bin for their aggregate and their sand and stuff. They, instead of putting it in there, I show it over here. They just relocated it. And there was an overhead crane shown here on the building that wasn't shown on the site plan. It's essentially four by 4 foot deep concrete footings, and it's a metal structure that sits on it. It's only used during times when they have
Rebar deliveries.
rebar deliveries. Thank you.
Solid rebar.
Yeah, and as I stated before, although the project has not been completed within the time allowed under the current order and conditions, we find it necessary to request the certificate of compliance for the work stated above on the project in order to file a new notice of intent for the work within the 100-foot buffer. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Any question on the board?
What wasn't completed on this part of the,
Really, the grading area that we're going to be back in front of you in about 5 minutes and re-requesting that again. That's essentially what it was, is that area in the back of the building.
So you want a certificate of compliance on these plans presented in front of us?
Correct.
Okay. The back has always been just gravel anyways. hasn't
Always
it?
been.
always been?
Questions from the audience?
Yeah, I live right near it,
Mhm.
and, precast. And I've been there for over 20 years. And they have just filled in land, when they wanted to fill it in. It's just made our properties really wet. And because they filled in all the way back almost to the railroad tracks. And it's really done a job on our properties. Our properties never was wet all the time. Now they're wet all the time. And because the way all the water flows through our property, it's like French's Stream and Old Swamp River, they flow from north to south. And our land is north of precast.
Could you state your name and address so we know?
My name's Harvey Welch. I live at 674 Pond Street in Weymouth, right on the Abington-Weymouth line.
You live in Weymouth?
Yes, but I have the.
Oh, no, that's fine, but, so,
You're better.
Pond Street
Pond
stops and then Adams Street starts?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yes.
correct.
And our land has just literally been constantly inundated with water now I used to be able to walk with my regular shoes, my whole, when I first bought the property, over 20 years ago, I could walk with my boots and not have a problem. Now I need hip boots. I'm not kidding you, I need hip boots to walk on my property, back there. That's how bad it's got. And the problem is too, you know, when they say that they're gonna, you know, replicate wetlands, like they're gonna move, you know, fill in this wetland and replicate it somewhere else. I've heard that a million times on different projects, and it's just made our properties wetter. And there's no end in sight. They're just gonna do more, and it's not gonna help our problem at all.
How many houses away do you live from the edge of the property with the
I live
fences?
one house away. I'm not right on the line, I'm right next to the house,
Okay,
and my property goes right back to the railroad tracks, just like my neighbor's property. In other words,
right,
Yep,
there's
set
two
back.
you know
houses.
it, yeah,
There's one in the back,
Yep.
and there's one in the front, and I'm the one next to them.
okay.
I'm right next to them.
But
So
you don't go right up to the fence that's
I
on
don't
the
go
left?
to the fence, but
Right,
it
okay.
still affects my property, and even my neighbors, further, one, you know, next to me, still his property too. It
Mhm.
affects all our properties in the back, and it has been for years. And that's just the truth.
Oh, no, that's,
It's just the way it is.
no,
And if you wanna go back there,
does your neighbor next to the fence there on the left-hand side of the property, are they having water problems too?
oh yes. Oh yes, and if you wanna go take a walk back there, I'll be
Oh, no, I
glad to-
believe you.
I'll be glad to show you. I mean, I couldn't believe it, I had geese and ducks back there in the water, swim around. I was like, I can't believe it, it's just not going away. That's what's going on back there.
May I address the board whenever you, after this?
Yeah,
Not to
yeah.
just, no, I just want to explain.
No, no,
the
that,
nuance
yeah,
between-
I like to, and I'm just gonna say this, this is nothing with or without, against you or anything, but there's been so much construction going on within the Naval Air Base and across the street with the yellow freight and so forth over the years now. And where the water comes from, it's almost like you'd have to figure it out and determine it somehow. I'm just, because their construction is over to the right of the building, farthest away from you, and the water could actually, I don't know this, I'm just trying to,
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
they filled in land all the way back. You can
Okay.
take a look back on their property and see how much they filled in. And that's what's blocking, and I said, it's a fact on the base,
yeah,
French's Stream,
yeah,
Old Swamp River, all flow that way, and all the water flows from even, you can see it on Pond Street, if you can see how it flows down. It's, even at the old drive-in,
yeah, yeah.
that flows that way too. It goes underneath the railroad bridge, underneath the tracks. And it flows that way too, because
There's
there's
a
two.
pond down there somewhere.
Yeah, it's that
Yeah.
Oak Street.
Yes.
There's a pond that cuts straight across there,
And
right
it
under the
cuts,
steps.
but it comes from north to south, and
Okay.
that's the way it goes.
All the water does it, we
Okay.
agree.
That's right, so that's, and that is being blocked by all the fill that has been done over the years on this property. It's just, I'm just telling you that like it is.
Have you ever told anybody this before?
Yes, I have.
Have you
In
told-
Weymouth,
Town of Weymouth?
yes, the town of Weymouth, I told, matter of fact, I tried to have them, because they're doing naturally the widening of Route 18.
Mhm.
I actually put in a paper, I wrote in a paper, I'm on their list of people that spoke up about trying to do drainage for the area that I live in.
Right.
And I
Aren't
don't
they
know
supposed
if
to do some drainage down there?
who,
Aren't they supposed to do some drainage by
they
my
did,
house?
not, it's up further from my house. It's up, you'll
Oh,
see.
all right.
Yeah.
We went to it.
It ends by CVS, well, just around the corner.
Yes, yeah, around the corner, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's not taken, it doesn't really help our situation. And I have to say, it's caused a real hazard as far as mosquitoes. We have to have the Norfolk County Mosquito Control come and spray constant mosquito traps, mosquito land back there that never dries out. You can't, there's nothing you can do to, stop it, you know, and I never had that when I first moved here. And they even come in the spring with a helicopter and drop, whatever it is, pellets or something from a helicopter every spring just to try to stop the mosquito problem. So that's what we've been dealing with. So I really wish, you know, you could consider what I'm saying and not do this replication.
Russ?
Yep.
You'd like to-
You had a couple of
Okay,
comments?
so there's a couple, in 2012, me and my partners purchased the property. So whatever happened before 2012, all I can tell you is that place was a garbage dump of crap. And the former owners had driven it into the woods.
That's right.
We are cleaning it up. John can speak to that. There were over 200, close to 10,000 pound panels that have now been busted up. And all that concrete's being trucked off to get crushed and put out on 18. We have crushed all that at our own expense. We have cleaned up the entire ground at our own expense, and now we're in the process of pulling all the debris that 25 years of other owners, or 50 years, have pushed into the woods. It is nothing but garbage out there.
Right.
Now, in addition to that, it abuts the train tracks. And when did they put in this train? 20 years ago or
Could you,
something?
could you just give us your name?
My name is Brandon Duffel.
And you're
I'm
the owner?
General manager and partner of Precast
Okay.
Specialties Corp. in Abington, Massachusetts.
I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Only because we're familiar with the property. You put a drain in here, a 12-inch RCP
Yes.
drain in,
Yeah,
and where does that drain to?
into the detention basin.
So you've tried to at least address the problem.
We've addressed it on our property. We don't have, the only part of our property that's swampland, and it's happened even more since 2012 when we got there, is there is an area just off to the, past the swale that just fills with water. And when I first got here, it wasn't an ice skating rink over the winter, but it was last year and the year before, I believe. And we had, we had somebody come out, a botanist come out, look at it all. There was some talk afterwards, like, where do you believe the water, they're talking about the decay from the MBTA and not being upkept, the culvert back there, causing a blockage that's affecting everybody.
That was gonna be my question, because I know that there is some kind of a culvert behind your property.
It needs to be
and-
maintained. If nobody
and
maintains
doesn't
that
that-
culvert, we're all.
Doesn't that go into a pond down
Yeah,
off
it
of
crosses
Pine
under the,
Street?
it crosses under the railroad tracks and goes into,
There's a pond back
Gray's
there
Pond or
someplace.
something?
huh?
Is it Gray's Pond?
Is it Gray's Pond?
I
Could
know-
be.
and I know
It
it's
could
south
be,
there,
yeah. It ends up out and back of, the properties at the end of the muster field.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where all the runoff does go, but that, as Brandon was saying, that swale or ditch, if you will, hasn't been maintained. When you look at it at the Weymouth and Abington line,
Right.
it's overgrown with, and they're mostly invasive species. Brooke Monroe went out, we had her reflag it,
Okay.
already, and, that's what she was saying, most of the vegetation that's out there is invasive
Brenda,
species.
does this swale ever overflow into your property?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Right now, it's overflow. I know we cleared a bunch of it out, but right now it was overflowed after the last storm.
And that's what's happening to my
Dude,
property.
all of it, and
Yeah.
we agree, I believe that ultimately, there's gonna have to be some pressure put on the MBTA to maintain
That's
their
what I
property.
was gonna have to be,
How do we do that? I don't know.
But
But what we're talking about doing will only help the drainage.
Right.
We are
Right.
taking out garbage.
Are you
and
still doing it?
replacing it with a retaining wall.
not
And
yet,
So it's bare out there.
not until we
We're
get.
stripping out all the garbage for 400 feet. That's a
Okay.
400-foot retaining wall
Yeah,
that we're putting in at our cost. So we're trying to address the situation, not because of our neighbors, we're trying to address it for ourselves,
Mhm.
so that we have more usable square footage that right now floods every winter. So that's what we're trying to do. But in the end, we see the MBTA needs to address the maintenance of that culvert, or whatever it is. Ditch.
But-
if I, okay, go ahead, keep it, whatever you wanna do.
Go ahead. One more.
to me, you you said you're gonna clear out this and make a culvert so it will,
No, we're not making a cold.
No,
unless it opens up and lets the water flow where it's supposed to flow, it's useless to us.
Well, that's
What
what he's-
should
that's
honestly
what-
happen, because this conversation is speculation, I guarantee you 100% of it is. Come out to the property, everybody, come out to the property and walk it. And find where the dam is. You are not gonna find the dam where we're putting
We've-
the retaining wall. You're gonna find it up by the Abington-Weymouth line.
We've had this problem before in other
Yeah.
parts of the town,
Yeah.
where culverts under the streets and so forth have got blocked for whatever reason and so forth. So, but if it's a MBTA property, they should go out and address it, so that we don't have to send our townspeople out and so forth to do it, but it's,
Yeah,
Russ, you might wanna think about sending a letter to the MBTA or to,
Because if you take the train out there, you can see it whole when you're passing through that area.
yeah.
Right.
What we'll do for you as a board, if Russ wants to, he's the chair, is write a letter to the MBTA on behalf of the Abington residents, you know, and see if we can get somebody out there. But with this project that's going on Route 18, the DEP is all over the place too, so might be a little help for you there too.
Okay.
I assure you that the part that we're talking about, anybody can come out and walk it, has zero wetness. When what we're talking about
Right.
taking out is the only part of the swell that comes onto the property.
Mhm.
It is far, far, it's easily 50 to 100 feet from the stream or culvert or ditch or whatever it is. So we're not gonna block anymore. If anything, the cleaning up of that's gonna free up that, but your dam ultimately is up by the Abington-Weymouth line. It's not down where we're doing the building.
But your property is still pushed way back, like you say, are you gonna pull some of that out of there? In other
Yes.
words, you're gonna
Yes.
pull,
Yes.
where that dam is, you're gonna
No,
pull some?
the dam isn't
Yeah.
on our property. Come out and walk it. The dam is not on precast specialties property.
It is, okay.
Come
If-
out and walk the line,
I mean,
walk
what-
the train track. We've had them walk it. The last message we got from Brooke was that no, well, I don't know, Tom, I'm sorry, John. can speak.
That's all right. When you see what we're presenting next, because what we're doing, procedurally, what we have to do with the board, is that, as I had stated before, you can't have more than one file number on a property. So this, right now, the project is currently under a file number. So that's why we've come before them and asked for a certificate of compliance. If they find that they can allow us to have a certificate of compliance, we are then gonna submit another notice of intent. That's what you actually got notification of, was a new notice of intent. And what the plan is, and you'll see what the plan is we're gonna put in a retaining wall, but it's gonna be in back of the newer building that was constructed back in
John,
2015.
let's finish this first and then,
Yes,
okay?
okay,
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
okay, yeah,
Okay.
but you'll see.
Okay, back to the board on this partial certificate of compliance. Any more questions on that? Any motion on it?
I'll make a motion to grant a partial certificate of compliance on 84-486, 999 Adams Street, precast specialties.
Plan submitted.
Second?
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Ayes have it, thank you.
Is it all right if I come out to the property Saturday?
Anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime, day or night.
Thank you.
So,
Okay. Under the new business, notice of intent precast specialties corp. 999 Adams Street for construction of a precast concrete retaining wall and filling 5,000 square feet of wetlands with replication within the 100-foot buffer zone and bordering vegetated wetlands at 999 Adams Street. John?
Thank you. Again, my name is John Cotter. I work for Precast Specialties with Mr. Brandon Duffel, who I introduced to you a little earlier. What we're doing here is continuing with the work that is, that's going to be going, it's going to be going on through the course of the rest of the year. Just so you can see it, sir, this is what we're doing. If you can have that. And so what we're going to be doing is constructing a precast concrete retaining wall along the eastern side, abutting the railroad tracks. And it's kind of heavied up. I heavied it up a little bit in black. The wetlands that you see is shaded in green, has been done by Pine Brook Consulting, and we went out and located the new flagged line, which was done just about a month ago. So what we are here today for is to request permission to construct the retaining wall as shown on the plan, and as I had said, they're going to be, it's actually not going to be your typical, atypical retaining wall where you're gonna trench out 400 feet, put in a footing, build up a concrete retaining wall. This is going to be precast panels, and the panels are 25 and 50 feet long. So what we'll do is dig a 4x4 by 4 foot deep hole, put a footing in with a column coming out of it, and these pieces will slide into place. So the area in between the where the piers will be pretty much undisturbed. So it's not going to be as invasive in the wetlands area or in the ground itself, as would be with a typical retaining wall. There will be some filling. We are showing the red areas shown on the plan are areas that would be considered wetlands by vegetation. There's really not a lot of, as we're talking about, there's not a lot of water in these areas, but it is wetland by vegetation. And what we'll be doing is knowing, and previously, honestly, we did know there is a problem over on the northern corner of the property with water. We would be pulling pulling material back in the blue shaded areas, which would be a 5,000 square foot replication area, and it would be excavated down to the elevation of what the wetlands elevation is now. So it would double really, not only for replication, but would also help in flood storage, because we will be expanding the flood area of the wetlands area in that area. Quite a bit.
Where's the replication?
The ones shaded in blue, there are 3
Okay,
areas
yeah.
shaded in blue. Then the area in front of the retaining wall, where the wetlands to be filled, it would be filled in with gravel, and it would be topped with a pervious material. Most of the reason why they want to do this is just for flow throughout the yard. Is a little better. That little tongue of wetlands kind of really limits what they can do over in there behind the building. Opening it up like this will give them better access, better flow for what they have to do for constructing and working the materials that they build.
Couple of things. This chain link fence, does
Yeah.
that keep you from getting into the existing 5-foot ditch?
Yes, it does.
And that's your
It's
fence?
on the,
Brendan, that's your
it's our
fence?
fence.
Okay,
Well, it's actually the MBTA's fence.
okay. This is just to help you answer some questions here, because there is a ditch there. It's probably backing up because of this drain down here on the south side, Sean?
Yes.
I mean, would that be the drain going into the pond?
As far as I know, if there's another one north of that one, I didn't find it. It's, like I said, that area where, on the northern side of the property, if you know, when you go out there, you'll see, is very thick. It's very thick with vegetation. There's a lot of grapevines in there. There's a lot of, like I said, invasive species that, if, Brooke Monroe, I did have the, her report. Sorry, I didn't give that to you.
That fence is on the other side of the, that fence is on the east side of the, tracks. In other words, it's not on the side of where our properties are. That chain link fence is up near the base, on the base side.
No,
No, it's on both
it's on
sides.
both sides. Yeah, it protects the railroad.
Yeah, the railroad has, the fences on both sides of the railroad right of way.
It's not on my property.
Well, we're just discussing this
I'm
property.
just saying, I don't know where it
It
starts.
starts somewhere on our property and it's.
Okay.
And this is just kind of bringing up the fact that they can't even fill the ditch in because there's a fence there. It's kind of restricting them from doing that. What had happened in the past, we don't know, of course, but,
They shoved a lot of stuff in the back. that's
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
John, do you have another one?
Oh, I'm sorry, sure do.
I mean, those blue areas right now are overgrown with debris. We're
Yeah.
pulling all that debris out. And
Okay,
that
that's-
should help something we're hoping with our property.
That's going to be,
I had a work to do, it's gonna be improved. Well,
That's our feeling, is just that, you know, in that it does, like the gentleman was saying, it does flow north to south.
Yeah,
And we're trying to open up south of his property. And hopefully it's gonna,
More maintenance by the MBTA
Yeah.
there. This is
Right.
not
It's
gonna
true, too.
solve the problem.
that's
I
true
think-
too.
yeah.
the way I look at this is that if you're putting up that wall, any water will be forced down into this detention basin.
That's correct. Yeah, everything on that,
Which-
everything flows, that we're developing, everything from the beginning of where that new building is and south, all flows to the south, all flows away from, the Weymouth line.
So you are actually doing what you're supposed to do and maintaining your own water
Yes.
on your own property?
100% on
Yes,
our own property.
okay.
100%.
You can see
This
by the
is-
size of
this
the
is just
ditches.
Explain to this gentleman that they are not trying to, or they're trying to avoid any kind of backwash to you through their property. You can see how it flows from behind the building into the detention basin on the right-hand side as you're looking at this. Good, you can see that from the street,
Yes.
too.
Yes.
So when you're gonna, you said you're gonna replicate in that replication area, what exactly, how are you gonna replicate?
Right now, there is garbage. And
Yeah.
that's the best way to describe it.
What is gonna be the
We're
finish?
gonna pull it
Basically-
out to the grade.
Yeah.
And then we're going to, my understanding is plant wetland plants.
Well,
Correct?
actually, what we're gonna do, because that area has a lot of vegetation in it. So what we're gonna do is where we're filling, you're gonna strip out the top 6 inches or a foot of material that's in the areas to be filled, and you stockpile that, and then you excavate out to an elevation, basically a foot below what the wetlands is at now, and then you bring that wetland material and you spread that wetland material in, and then let that grow back in. And it has to, you have to watch that for 2 growing seasons to make sure that it does in fact take effect.
You're talking about what you're taking away from where the
Right.
wall is gonna be?
That's correct. No, not where the red areas is what's gonna be filled, but you gotta take out the soils, the wetland soils that are there, and you're gonna take those and bring them to the other side of the property and regrade them out on the bottom of the areas, those blue shaded areas that are gonna be excavated. There's gonna be 3 or 4 feet of material pulled out of there, And then you'll take well, more like 5 feet of material that'll be taken out of there, and then a foot of material will be laid down on the bottom of it, so it can grow back as a wetland.
And where we're taking away the wetlands, we're putting a retaining wall and
Mhm.
pitching to drain. So we're kind of improving the property in 2 different ways. We're trying our best to at least control 100% of our water. That's all we can control.
And that's all we ask, as far as this board is concerned.
That's why we're spending the money to do it.
Okay, back to the board.
Just out of curiosity here, I'm seeing this 491.96 here,
Yep.
and 496.75 here.
That's right here, see these lines? Must be these, the originals.
Which ones?
Then you have this, 463 here,
Yeah,
49.
Jim. Then you have 463
yeah,
here.
it drops down.
No, this is the, isn't this the length?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Here's-
thank you.
Here's
That's
the
okay.
height, here's the elevations here,
I've got it.
155.
Yeah, and what are we at the other end?
It's pretty flat, actually. It's like 149 almost
Yeah,
throughout the
So
whole
it
thing.
will,
See right
It
here?
does eventually go that
Come
way,
down
the
to
invert of the outlet, of the invert of that,
With
Yeah.
the utilities, 152, 149 in here.
yeah.
okay, my mistake. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the back end of the property, you get down around 148, 147 around.
so it is
It's going,
gotta
yeah,
be
it is,
slow.
it is flowing from north to
north to
south.
south.
It
That's
ac-
the
it
main thing.
actually, at the corner of
Oh,
the,
yeah.
right here, it goes 155 down to 148.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
so it is gonna flow.
Yes, sir, yep.
Good.
Anything, oh, something,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Anything else from the audience?
I was just wondering, who actually oversees this to make sure it's done the way it's supposed to be done? Is there anybody that oversees it?
Well, they come back in with, to
Yeah.
us later with an as-built. That means that, as the plans submitted, they use these as a construction plan. Then they come back in, which they just did with an as-built, to prove they've done it the same as what they presented to us.
Okay.
We don't have a commissioner to go out there and shoot grades and so forth, that's what the construction people are for.
The engineer goes out.
And the engineer is,
And he says on it, he signs off on it, says it's done right.
He
And
stamps
that's-
it, and
His
says,
reputation is on the line when he does
Yes.
that.
All right.
Okay, back to the board. Any more comments, questions?
Can I request that you ask the MBTA, because I mean,
We're gonna work on the MBTA, that's a whole separate thing, but we are gonna do that. We have been trying for a couple of years to do it along with Route 18 widening. We've been working on that also.
Really, and I'd like to just say one more thing. We're inviting any neighbors out. We had a fence that was dilapidated between the 2 adjacent neighbors over 400 feet, and we replaced that $15,000 fence. I mean, we wanna be good neighbors.
right.
So we're cleaning up 70 years of mess. And right now, we're about 90% clean. If you come out now, it's a pretty good looking place. So we're trying to make it look good, and you're welcome anytime to come in and see.
Well, thank you.
Okay, really, come out and see, because I think walking the property, all the neighbors should, and see where the real water problem is, you'll see it's from the MBTA.
Okay.
I've got something to say, actually. What you're taking out, you're actually putting it back in, right? Is 1-to-1?
That's correct.
Okay.
And just to say, even if you do go down, be authorized to go down and walk on the property, just let them know that for their curiosity, there's all heavy equipment down there all the time.
Oh, you just pop in the office, we're there Monday to Friday, anybody can just pop in.
Back to the board anymore? Mike,
I'm
Jerry?
good.
Any motions?
Good.
Any motion? So we can't, so we don't have a number yet, so we can't close.
Correct.
So,
Oh,
so continue. Mike?
I'll make a motion to continue the notice of intent by Precast Specialties.
October 22nd, Monday.
Can we take a vote pending the DEP number, or do we have to have the number to vote? All right, then we'll just do that. Second the continuation.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, ayes have it, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Okay, have a good night.
Thank you.
Go Sox.
You better believe it.
Have a good night.
You too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Have a good night, thank you.
You too, thank you.
All right.
If you let me, I'll go up Saturday and walk it,
Okay.
take some pictures.
Sure. You're welcome.
What do you need? What do you need? Oh,
I'll have a look afterwards.
I-
I'll have a look afterwards. Great. Oh, thank you.
Hope that helps you a little bit.
Thank you for listening.
No, that's fine, that's our job, but we just hope that, everything works out for you.
Thank you.
The way you,
Appreciate it.
yep, no problem.
Hey, Russ, I know there's a bunch of people here for something else, we asked for their name and.
Yeah. Okay, next we have SE number 084-525, request to amend the order conditions filed by the Massachusetts Electric Company for 2 plank anchors for structure 54 along C3 transmission line in Abington. James, who's in?
Yeah, Dan Herslinger, I'm with TRC Environmental. I'm here on behalf of National Grid, Massachusetts Electric Company, to go over this first. I've got 2 filings. The first one is the amended order. So this one is, we've been before the commission a few times. Big picture, the National Grid's gonna be doing a maintenance project on the C3 circuit and the S9 circuits, which cross through Abington on the right-of-way. And as the design of the project has advanced, or sorry, I should back up, most of the project, nearly all of it, is exempt under the Ones Protection Act. It's all utility maintenance work, all replacement of existing structures and shield wire. There's a couple things, though, that as the design has advanced, we've determined that they're not exempt, and that's why we've been before the commission a few times. So we recently determined that they need to add a couple plank anchors at one of the structures on the same lot that the commission recently issued an order of conditions for a structure that was a little bigger, a larger replacement structure.
Mm-hmm.
So now, wish they had known this before, but they determined now that they also have a couple plank anchors to add to a structure, structure 54, which is on the same lot. So I figured it's the same lot as this other order that you just issued.
Mhm.
So I thought the best approach would be to just request an amended order. What this involves, these plank anchors, they're new anchors, and they're not existing anchors, so they're not replacement. That's why they're not exempt. What they do is they have to, they install guy lines on the structures.
Yeah.
They excavate a small excavation. There's a detail here that I included. And they bury the plank anchor, and then they backfill it. And we'll seed it, they put the same soils back in. So these are just, this one, which one is this? This is structure 54. It's located in a wetland, and that's why we decided to file this request for an amended order. It's really minimal impact. It's only 20, this one is, I think I calculated about 40 square feet per anchor for a total of 80 square feet. And it's, again, temporary, so the wetland is restored afterwards. And TRC is, we work with Grid, and we're out there weekly doing inspections during construction. Construction on the overall project's gonna start in April or May, roughly. And the plank anchors are, again, a simple job. We would do that in a day. And that's the basic request before the commission.
Excuse me. I'm a butter on the land. She's on 30.
On the property and the building at Edison.
And I own the property next door, that's 12 Central. The poles, I don't know if it's the poles he's talking about, they're right next to my fence, my
We're working on the one on Plymouth Street right now.
This is,
Yeah, this is Plymouth
This is
Street.
on
This is Plymouth Street, we'll get to that,
Oh,
we'll get to that one
This-
afterwards.
I mean,
Oh, okay.
We
That's
wanted,
next.
but it was more place.
Yeah.
I got confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is right by the substation.
yes, right, exactly, yep, you're right, by
Yeah.
the substation, yep.
We were here about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Any more comments from the board, questions from the board?
No?
From the audience on, off the one off of Plymouth Street? Any comments from the audience on that? Take back to the board? Any, motion?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the order of conditions for Mass Electric on SE 084-525 as presented to the board for 2 plank anchors on structure 54.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, next will be the notice of intent following Mass Electric Company to install 4 plank anchors on existing transmission line on structure at 30 Central Street.
Okay, again, Dan Herslinger, TRC. This is, I won't go through the whole background again, but again, same request. This one is on the C399 line, and it's structure 17. And at this location, they are looking to, we don't have an existing order of conditions, so we're requesting a new order of conditions. And at this location, they're gonna be adding 4 new plank anchors at structure 17, which is located right on a, right on the edge of a wetland. It's just right within a wetland, off Central Street, right, in the right of way. In this case, we've got 4, so we've got 40 square feet of impact per anchor, so it's 160 of temporary impact. And same process for installing the anchors, same spec is in there. And the typical BMPs that they use during construction are attached at the end as well.
Now, this pole's existing already?
Yes.
And what
existing.
is the purpose of the plank anchor?
It's to provide additional stability to the structure, I believe.
But
Yeah.
you're saying they're only temporary?
The impact is temporary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
They're
the
gonna
impact's temporary.
remain, so
Oh, yeah,
that-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about the ones on Central Street?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, where are those poles that you're talking about, where is it gonna be anchored? My fence is right next to the poles that are up.
Now, which house, which
I
property is yours?
have 12 Central. My fence is right up against,
He's to the right
one
of
of
the
the poles.
This is
Where
the
would you
pole
be
that's
here?
being affected.
Oh, okay.
Where's the
So
entrance?
this is,
Right
this
here.
the,
He's right here.
this is the hall?
12
Yeah.
Central?
Oh, I'm over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
No,
So
no,
this-
you're,
No,
This
no.
area is
you're
not gonna be
here.
affected,
Here's
I'm
the
right here.
building.
yep,
I'm right here.
the pole is here,
This is the
at
pole
the
that's
back
being
of the, at
affected.
the back of the parking
Yes.
lot.
Oh, okay, it's the back of the parking.
Oh, it's the back, okay.
So it wouldn't
yeah,
affect the
here.
front area?
The anchors are going in on this one, right?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so where are the wetlands here?
See them right, this is one of the edges right here, and this is the other
Then I
back
got
edge.
wetlands behind my house too.
We've got,
Just right here?
yeah, see,
Okay.
the shading is where they're showing where we're gonna put down some timber mats when they do the work. And they're gonna have a pole site here.
Okay, so that's the single pole, isn't it?
I think
Yeah,
17
there
was
is
a
a
single
single
pole structure, yeah.
This has got what it is over here by my house to get the double pole.
Yeah.
But that's not gonna be affected.
Not by the anchors, no.
So is there
There-
like is there something that's, because we never even knew that, is this still owned by us, or is it owned by Mass Electric, or is there just like
A right of
some
way.
type
It's
of
a right
right
of
of
way,
way?
yeah.
Okay. All
They
right,
have a
so
right
we
of way.
still own the property. But
Yeah.
liability-wise, if anything was to happen, they would be responsible.
Mass Electric,
Mass
yeah.
Electric.
And do you have an
Yeah.
engineer that's doing the work, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
Can
So,
you-
it's, National Grid's doing all the engineering design.
Okay,
Yeah, so usually the project's still several months away.
Okay.
Because they're gonna be working on all these lines.
Mhm.
So, just so you're aware, they'll usually send out, there's like an outreach real estate division in National Grid.
okay.
And they will send out, I believe they send out notification letters to all the abutters before they start the work.
All right, well, I'm more
yeah.
concerned with the business, so the business part of it, interruption with any type of business running the events and whatnot, so
At the hall.
the
Yeah,
hall?
to
Yeah,
weddings
yeah,
and
we
stuff
don't
like
want
that.
it.
No, I think,
So,
No, what they'll do is they go in,
that would be up to you guys to coordinate it with the hall, that's all.
Right,
Yeah, that's-
right.
the other issue I have with that is a potentially might be putting up a potential gate, and I don't know if that's gonna interfere with them being able to get onto the property. if
Again,
they-
that's,
Yeah.
we're just approving the plans,
Okay.
that would be
All
more,
right.
be between you and
Right.
Okay, all right,
National Grid or.
all
If
right.
you want, I can take your number afterwards.
Yeah, that
I
would
can
be
pass it
great.
on. I do the environmental permitting piece, but there is a
Okay.
whole division of National Grid that deals with
All right.
Real estate end of it.
exactly stakeholder relations, things like that. So.
Okay, back to the board, we do have a SA number for this, SC number 840529. I'm going to the number for us.
Okay.
Okay, any more questions from the audience? Okay, back to the board?
go ahead.
I make a motion. I'm sorry, Jerry.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I make a motion to notice of intent filed by Max Electric Company to install 4 plank anchors on existing transmission lines structures at 30 Central Street.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have ANRAD, filed by John Aradell, Crossing, Abington Crossing LLC, to confirm wetland resource areas located at 0 Summer Street, map 17, lot 11, and map 24, lot 12, 112.
Good evening. Just do we have some butters? What I'll do is I'll set up the board so that everybody can take a look at that.
yeah, we have the camera here, so if you can set it up over there, that'd be fine.
Just for the record, Scott Morris from the Ecotech, professional wetland scientist, delineating the wetland resource areas on the subject parcel. Project, this is Summer Street here, access comes back, and then you've got the MBTA parking lot in the rear here, and the MBTA railroad tracks on this side of the property. There's a small pond here, areas in green, blue is the pond. We've delineated bordering vegetated wetlands here, and there's a small isolated wetland here that's not large enough to qualify as isolated land subject to flooding. Essentially what we've done is filed an ANRAD, abbreviated Notice of Resource Area Delineation. And what that does is allows, just for the people in the audience, allows the opportunity for the Conservation Commission to review the delineated wetland boundaries and approve those prior to issuance of an order of resource area delineation. So we're asking the commission to review the wetland boundary and approve it, kind of as planning purposes for the site. I'd be happy to answer questions if the commission has any at this point.
So that, I have a question.
Okay, yeah.
Be up to you in a minute. Anything from the board?
This is the proposed roadway you're putting in, right?
There's an existing roadway that comes back.
There is?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is Summer Street here, there's an existing roadway that comes back,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is the parking lot for the MBTA station. I think they've delineated wetlands and permitted this when they built the rail station several years ago. I think there was some remnant flags that I came across during the delineation as well.
So where's the sewage department on this, the water department?
I believe it's down here.
Okay.
Everything kind of drains this way. There's a culvert here that drains under. I believe this is the sewer department or water department, and then you've got residential homes
On Progress Street.
running this way.
Progress.
So you've got residential homes here, the back is the parking lot for MBTA, and then to the east is the railroad tracks.
Questions from the board? Yep.
And we did receive.
Are you doing any reclamation work, I mean, as far as the, reproduction work for the wetlands anywhere?
Not at this point, it simply was just asking for the confirmation of the wetland
For
delineation.
the delineation.
Yeah, yep.
Okay,
And a DEP issued a file number, I don't know if you've.
Yep,
you
I've got
You
it.
got a copy of that? Okay.
I think it's pretty cut and
Yeah,
dry.
cut and dry.
Pretty wet.
Come to the audience. Questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Name,
So you're-
please. Name and address, please.
Sure, Lisa Richardson at 94 Progress Street. So you're delineating wetlands that were not there before, is that correct?
No, they were there before. I believe these wetlands were here when they approved the access road.
Okay. I didn't see it on, my sister's an appraiser, so we didn't see it on the maps.
Yeah, they show, I think the pond shows up on,
The pond shows up and the
On the west
wetlands on
units.
the other side of Progress Street show up, but not those.
not these here.
So I was honestly curious as to what the purpose of the delineation is.
Essentially, it's kind of jurisdiction. The Conservation Commission regulates anything with 100 feet of border vegetated wetlands. So when work proposed within those zones would have to come back.
What he can do after, if we approve these plans, they can then take and put, if they're gonna put houses or whatever they're gonna do on the property, they can work around the wetlands that we have approved this plan by.
Okay.
They haven't got any kind of construction or anything out here. They wanna make sure that what we approve, then they can work around what we approve. That's how that works.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have a former map showing this area?
There may be from when the MBTA station was constructed.
Any more comments from the audience? Back to the board. Mike?
I don't see any problems. I say we approve these plans as submitted. Could we have that though, that's colored, is that done, for our file? To confirm the wetland resource area located as presented.
SE
Right.
number 0840528.
Yes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Good to go.
Thank you
Yes,
very much.
thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Nancy's file.
That's for Nancy.
See, now they can do something.
How you going? Watch the game.
Thursday.
Okay, building permit, site visits. Jerry?
Thanks again.
Me?
Thank you.
Building permits are all right. Have I got anything else? How about Latin Lane?
We haven't been to that yet.
I went down there, it's right, the house is right on the water, so he should come before us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? What else do we have?
Mill Street was okay.
We have Mill Street's okay, yeah.
We had 4 altogether. Washington Street with the paving, that's okay.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Um,
What the heck, where's my list? Right here.
Washington, Mill, Washington, and,
Oh, 678 Adams Street.
okay.
Oh, that was for Oak Street, oh, whoa, what a mess. The people on Oak Street, Carl Kemp's old house, sits up on a hill on Oak Street, and they abut down below from at the old Jenkins Simmons side.
Oh, yeah.
And right now, kid that owns, I forget his name, senior citizen moment, took down all the pine trees. And now, the wind comes across from the north, and these people are literally freezing. And one storm last winter, she said there's so much snow in the yard that they couldn't get out, and he came, the guy that did it, God, I can't think of his name, they had to come clean the driveway, but they were complaining about it, but there's no wetlands involved, so there's nothing I can do. But
Right.
I said, it ended up going back to the building inspector, because he was, certain condition, he was supposed to go to the building inspector and ask permission to do it. And
Take
he
trees
didn't.
down?
Huh?
To take trees
To
down?
take
Yeah.
trees down on?
Well, it changed the whole, what do you call it? Something, it changed something.
Really?
I mean, once he took that, I can see having gone by there all my life
Wow.
and seen it, so. Nothing I could do, I said, and Nancy and I went over, so, Jimmy, was gonna talk with the building inspector, and then, Marshall said he would look into it, and they were gonna try and do something, so that's as far as I could go on it.
Okay.
Just want us to try and okay this tonight.
I mean, do you wanna
just tell him he's gonna,
Jerry, I didn't get a chance to go back.
that they have
to
to amend it,
Randolph
or do you
Street.
want
Oh.
them to just
To
come
see
before
it.
Either but I,
formally,
maybe
or?
I'll give it a call.
Okay. Because I'm gonna go up Saturday up to
We all walked it.
Yeah,
the concrete precast. up there.
yeah, give me a buzz when you wanna go up there.
I'll go up there about 8,
When?
8 o'clock.
Tomorrow morning.
I mean,
Saturday.
did you
Saturday.
look at the plan?
Saturday.
That's
I mean,
I
do you
forget.
think
I'll be at work at 8.
they need to amend it, or just
I'll be
come
thinking
before the
about going up,
board
going to
first
work.
to see what,
Yeah, give me a buzz.
Sure.
Maybe we can get them both done.
All right, yeah, might as well.
Might as well, and then we'll go for coffee.
Sounds like a plan.
It's too close to the area where the stream was, and it came through and filled their basement.
Millie's, that Millie's.
You know, into Washington Street, so I saw that. On this 808 Washington Street, I think they should come before us. This is the area we walked, they built those two houses up there, 808 and 810, and they wanna redo the drainage area now.
You mean 806?
Yeah. Now it's coming into the yards with there's that stream that comes down, whenever it rains hard, it comes right down through the cross Colonel Hunt Drive, right into their backyard, then cuts across and goes north. Remember we walked it a long time, it was before they built the houses, there was a whole well up in there, and,
The two new houses that sit up on the hill?
yep.
But Sherry put in?
Yeah. What's the matter with them?
They're having the water problems.
No, did you? No.
Thank you.
But when did I go up there? When the guy built up a thing. The guy in front built something up to
Septic.
stop the water from coming down.
Yeah, the septic, then it was starting running down the driveway into onto Washington Street.
Yeah, they tied into sewage, because the town allowed them to tie into the pipe that came across for the main house.
Yeah.
Which, because the fact that to go down to find another connection to the street was
Yeah.
unworthy cost because of Island Grove of the water. And that's when the feud started, I think.
Mhm.
And if they didn't block it, it would have flowed down, but that's what the,
Because when they built it, the yellow house there wasn't running water from the stream, then it was, and it filled up the basement right away.
yeah. Yeah, we talked about, it, yeah. I said-
But now they wanna change the flow of
So,
I think they have to come before us, and we can't just approve it here.
Yeah, no, but I mean, come informally and then tell them, or should I just tell them they need to file to amend the order of conditions?
But they have a certificate of compliance.
I don't know.
Yeah, they do, right here, that was issued on,
Oh, do they?
yeah,
Oh.
as
Then
well as a certificate of occupancy.
Yeah.
Well, the certificate of compliance was on January 25th, 2016, and the certificate of occupancy was February 1st, 2016.
So would they have to file a notice?
They'd have to
of
come in and
intent?
do probably a RDA, request for determination.
Determination, yeah.
Really?
Just, but are they involved in wetlands there? They're
That's
just,
right behind them, yeah, that's a stream.
are they changing the flow of the stream, or are they just putting in a swale on their own property?
I think it's a conflict between neighbors.
Yeah.
The status.
See, the house is already there, so they've already been in front of us for conservation
Yeah, yeah,
issues.
yeah.
So they're doing something out front, which really will not, there's no wetlands there anymore. We already approved that, and there's a certificate of compliance. If they're gonna have any drainage, that would be a construction situation between the two neighbors, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think I told them that, it's nothing to do with us. Because
So-
Russ is right, there's a stream out back along that wall,
As long as they're not gonna affect the stream or go near the stream, Russ,
not under us.
I think they just, they're gonna put drainage in out front, that's what they're trying to
Changing the
do.
contour of their land, that's all.
Yeah, we've given our certificate of compliance, they've done,
Yeah, if it's not in
What-
wetlands,
right,
we
So
can't
if they
do it.
change the land.
unless they go in their backyard and change that stream,
Then it's
Yeah.
gonna come straight down, so yeah, that won't happen.
right. And if they do change any flow of the water and it affects a neighbor, then that would have to come, the same type of situation, that would have to be looked at.
But Marshall,
That would have to be Marshall Adams,
yeah,
so. I mean, I'm glad they notified us, but,
So what am I supposed to tell them?
so they can proceed if, with doing what they want to alleviate their problem, but they don't have to come in front of this board for any reason, because they've been in front of the board, had the notice of intent, and now have their certificate of compliance. So this board has really nothing to do with it unless they're gonna encroach the wetlands.
Which is out back of their house.
Right.
What's this one for? Didn't think we,
This is for, Mass Electric.
oh, Mass
Okay,
Electric.
unless you wanna just use the same order of conditions
Yeah.
as the previous one?
Yes,
She can,
oh, yeah, you
Okay.
can.
because the order of conditions has already been approved. That DEP file is
It's
closed.
closed, we're opening the new one.
So if they're gonna do anything within the wetlands, they have to come forward and either get a determination or a, notice of intent. Because the dates are on the bottom of that front page, Nancy, as far as, the certificate of compliance and so forth, on that letter.
Yeah, I mean, he's not doing anything within 100 feet of anything. Okay, he's not,
Yeah, so this board is
okay.
I think he's just trying to alleviate drainage problems, right?
Over to the neighbor's area here,
So,
away from the
and
neighbor's.
from what that letter says, the neighbor filled in his swale, which is probably causing the drainage problem. So, the neighbors should just try to fix it between themselves, and unless they're gonna start moving that little, river or pond or what, I mean.
In the backyard.
Drain, yeah.
intermittent stream. Okay.
Yeah,
Minutes from August 13th, 2018.
make a motion to accept the minutes from August 13th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And minutes from September 13th.
Done.
September 10th, right?
Oh, was it?
Okay, September 10th, yep.
Oh, okay.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from September 10th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I abstain.
And what do we need these for? Order commissions for?
This is for Mass
Mass
Electric.
Electric.
Yeah, unless you wanna use the same orders
That's what I thought you
as
was
from
talking about.
525.
Yeah.
That's what I thought you was talking about before when I said, yeah,
Yeah,
use the same order
Yeah.
of conditions that we used
the last time.
just for the last one.
Yeah,
Yeah, we use the same one,
okay.
same numbers.
This is two different
Projects.
projects. We're given an
Oh,
order of conditions on Center Street. They're using the same order of conditions for,
Plymouth,
some,
off Plymouth Street.
it's,
That's the Plymouth Street substation.
Plymouth Street. Plymouth Street, they're using the same one. They need a new, they're filing a notice of intent for 30 Central Street. So we have to give an order of conditions.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
so use the
we
same
can
numbers,
use
so
the
you
same
wanna go through the list?
Conditions on this that we used on the other one.
Oh, can we do that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, then do
I mean, if
that.
it, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
that's
that's,
good.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you're going through all this?
Yeah.
Good job, Mike.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Oh, I didn't know.
They're
what
basically
I
doing
thought-
the same
Yeah.
work, so
Oh, okay,
they're putting down the same,
okay.
Thanks, Scott.
silk socks or hay bales and putting down the planking and,
Okay, that's fine. So they just have to add 30 Central Street to that,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, anything else? Comments,
uh,
questions?
And you have any,
No,
anything new business or anything?
you got a business?
Nothing?
No,
What's your
Motion
business?
we adjourn.
I motion we adjourn.
Second?
There you go.
All, second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh. Okay, I'm quick.